a prisoner in Tunguska, Mulder was infected with the black oil while Krychek seemed to cozy up to his comrades.
Scully tries to determine the origin of a pathogen from a Mars rock and protect Mulder from those who would seek to hurt him.
This is not happening.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Carry on.
Ms. Scully, you've had a good long time to think about the question that was asked in our last session, and I want to give you the opportunity to answer that question here today so I can help our good chairman here to get on with this proceeding.
I can't answer that question, sir.
I'm going to ask you again, where is Special Agent Mulder, and why is he not here?
I'd be happy to answer your questions about the man carrying the diplomatic pouch.
Agent Scully.
About his murder and my opinion about its connection to the death of Dr. Benita Carncera of the World Health Organization.
Miss Scully, you get your chance
or
with all
about the
of that.
biotoxin being transported within
Answer
that
the
pouch.
question, Miss Scully.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast. With me today, as always, is Andrew, and I am your host, Mike. Say hello, Andrew. How are you?
I am your host, Andrew, and you are the host, Mike. We are co-hosts.
We are co-hosts of this great show.
That's how that works. Yeah. Oh, I'm great, man. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Ready to bring this barn burner to a close.
Yeah.
This two-parter.
Two-parter, Tunguska and Terma today.
Mm-hmm.
We were left on a little bit of a cool cliffhanger last time.
Yeah, it looked like the end for Agent Mulder.
Oh my God, he's turning into an alien.
Well, because, as we know, when you are infected with the black goo, you turn into a zombie or something.
Or something is correct, because that is not the original incarnation of this, but...
Well, I've been doing a bit of a think about the backstory, the design of the alien species we're looking at here. And I think it's a different group, a different strain maybe of the black oil, because the black oil from 731 and Piper Maru is found in the bottom of the ocean near an alien spaceship. So it could be that the black oil there is intelligent, whereas the black oil from the rock is not intelligent, and it's just a sort of
vessel,
very autonomous, but, non-intelligent life form. And it just
waits for orders.
It just sidles up in the body, and that's all it does.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's a fair assessment. It does have at its root, I think, a lot of drone-like qualities to it. Obviously the aliens want to make us a slave race. So maybe there is some leeway there as to what it does to everyone and how many different types there are. Although they never really broached that topic. So
they don't bother to explain it. And I'm on the fence about whether I like that, because on the one hand, I like that it allows us to have something to talk about.
Absolutely.
As opposed to spoon-feeding us exactly what it all is.
And I'm okay with it.
On the other hand, I feel like there's a bit of lazy factor there, that they don't give you enough to go with. But you know what? That's what they decided to do, and that is what we have. So What are you going to do now?
What are you going to do, Andrew? I don't know. The question is, I don't know, or the answer is, I don't know. Before we get started here, we have been infiltrated.
Yeah, I noticed
our
that
Facebook page has been that son of a bitch who's been in contact with us, ruining our show here and there. He has now infiltrated the Facebook page, so I think he's going to start harassing people.
Well, can you ban him like we did with?
Did try that, and he keeps coming back because there were a couple times that he showed up, but yeah, he keeps getting through. So.
Well, maybe we have to leave Facebook. Maybe
we may have to.
Is this the cue to deplatform?
Did you see his awesome poll?
Oh,
it was like a juvenile high school post where how much do Mike and Andrew blow? And there's only one option. So that's fantastic. But
classic stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, feel free.
I assume he's listening.
Yeah, he most likely is. He's listening to everything. So ladies and gentlemen, hear this shadowy figure man. I encourage all of our listeners to interact with him and show him what for.
Yes.
Give them hell.
Don't worry. We're not going to be impeded or altered in any way. These shenanigans will not stop us from delivering the high quality podcast you are used to receiving.
So with that, Andrew, what do you say we get started on covering today's episode, Terma?
Terma. I think it's worth noting that it aired the beginning of December 1996. Again, this two-parter written by Frank Spotnitz and Chris Carter, but this installation directed by Robbie Bowe and not Kim Manners. So, bringing out all the stops.
Good stuff. He will go on to direct our movie. So, fantastic.
Yes, getting all the practice in now.
We open, Andrew, on Harrow Convalescent Home in Boca Raton, Florida.
Yeah, did I miss something? Because
you did.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is nowhere near the other
Was there an episode in between?
No. This one starts right in the middle, so if you blinked, you would have missed that this happened. Florida was a key location in the first episode.
As in not at all.
Not at all.
Once.
So it's nighttime. A van rolls up outside a retirement home. A woman gets out with a flashlight, heads into the infirmary. Inside are several beds with elderly patients, IV bags for days. She stops at a woman's bed. It's her Auntie Janet. She whispers to her that it's time, and the lady slowly rises. The two head to the van parked outside. A man is inside the van with a very crude contraption. 3 separate tubes with different liquids in them, much like a lethal injection chamber. The young woman hugs her auntie, who says not to cry for her. She's tired of the pain. As she hugs, Janet reaches for the IV release and does it herself as the doctor watches green fluids enter her body. As it happens, she calls her niece her angel of mercy, and with a smile, she's gone. The doctor, quote unquote, listens for her heartbeat, but notices something wrong. The younger woman releases her auntie from the hug to see black oil worms slithering out of Janet's pores. She screams. Credits.
Wow.
Okay. I hinted at this last week, ladies and gentlemen.
You sure did. Yeah.
Okay. So
we got a whole new plot line, a mobile euthanasia clinic.
Yes.
That was great.
The investigation will hinge on this guy right here.
Frankly, this is an episode.
Okay.
Euthanasia is a topic they could certainly cover, but they don't go there in this episode.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
So
they take people out the old-fashioned way.
Andrew.
Yes.
Let's take euthanasia off the table. Let's take assisted suicide off the table. Let's just say that's okay. That's fine. Whatever. We just got done talking about why the virus does what it does.
We sure did.
And now it's doing yet again something else. Hold on.
What is it doing?
Well, hold on.
Please.
In Apocrypha and Piper Maru. In those episodes.
731 and Piper Maru. That's the two-parter.
No, it's not.
I don't know what Apocrypha is.
No. A Piper Maru and Apocrypha.
You're going to cut all this stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're
this is
cut
quality.
All this stuff.
This is why you tune in every week.
Oh, right. Is Nisei in 731 and then Piper Maru in Apocrypha. Okay.
So Piper Maru and Apocrypha, in that they find the oil in the bottom of the ocean. It takes control of the diver, the French diver, and he is on a mission to find the craft and work with CSM because he somehow read in on the plot. This black oil was on a fucking mission, right?
Yes.
In last episode and this episode, the victims of the black oil become paralyzed and are still alive, but don't do anything. And now, at the beginning of this episode, not only does the black virus enter this elderly woman and has been existing in her for God knows how long, she has all her senses about her.
Yes.
And she doesn't know anything's wrong and is dying from some illness. So this is mode number 3.
Going on?
Yeah, this is very confusing for me.
It's confusing because they don't really get into why, but I think there is actually enough information to ferret out an answer. And I think it is because, and to jump forward, the Russians are using the elderly care home patients as test subjects, a little bit less violently than they do in Tunguska, but essentially seeing the effects of the black oil on living subjects. Right. And it seems that in America, in Boca Raton, they are going to die, or at least they've got health conditions, but they are alive and conscious, as opposed to, if you get infected and you don't have the vaccine in you, then you turn into a paralyzed zombie. That's what I get.
I don't know.
I agree with that sigh. Yeah, there's so much vagary in this that you really don't know, and it's not explained. So you have our agents just haplessly stumbling around in all directions, trying to make sense of it, going before Congress. And, in the end, stuff gets sorted out, and we can go back to normal, please and thank you.
Yeah. So I'm on board with the Russian testing, especially the Russian testing in America. I get that idea. But if they're infecting the people, the elderly people, why are they? Why do they still have their faculties?
Because they've been vaccinated, they've got the vaccine in them.
But then what? Then why is it just now escaping their body?
Because she's been killed, and once she's dead, or maybe there's a reaction to the euthanasia chemicals.
In every other incarnation of this thing, when you get vaccinated, it escapes your body.
Right.
So
I don't have an answer. I didn't rate this one.
If they're vaccinated, it would be already gone.
But maybe it's a different kind of. It's a test vaccination that allows you to live with it. It's another symptom. It's another experiment that they're running to see. Well, what about if we just live with it and it's in you, but you still have your faculties?
And that's fine. But explain it.
But please delve. I agree. They don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, I would love to hear some more listener theories on what actually happened in this two-parter, because it's so vague.
There are so many nuances to what this is doing and what happens when and where. I would love someone to help me understand it, because this is one of the parts of the mythology that gets really muddy. It's still very interesting, but there are parts that just don't connect to what we know and what we find out later. So yes, if someone would like to correct me with a theory or give their own theory, not so much a correction, just a fan theory, feel free to post something, because I'm more than happy to read it on the air.
The way I always look at the mythology episodes is, what do we learn about the mythology from this episode or the episodes period? When we're done, what have we actually learned? And I'm not going to get into it now. But later on, I have a little list of the things that we actually learn and can take away with in the developing list of plot nuggets that defines the mythology.
Perfect.
So just keep that in the back of your head as we go.
All right.
But I want to talk about the mobile euthanasia clinic, because
that's
a little fascinating.
Great idea.
It's a little fascinating side angle for this plot that they just skip right over. I love how and as you said, doctor in quotation marks. Says it's time. There are papers to sign. And I just thought, what papers? How is any of this?
He sat down with his rinky-dink lawyer who said, I think this will get you off if someone comes at you with a lawsuit.
And it won't. I mean, you'll still go down with everybody for this shit you're
Tell you what, he called Saul and he convinced him that he's not going to go to prison for this.
Yeah.
As long as Auntie Janet signs her name.
I just love the fact that he then leans over and listens into her heart and says, something's wrong here. And I'm like, what? What would be wrong? You're hearing a heartbeat? You're hearing something else? He's hearing slithering. What are you hearing? Yeah, I would buy that. He hears a little oily slithering that is not a heartbeat. But
we were having fun with it now, but really all they had to do was have him looking at the levels on the toxin or whatever, the euthanasia, and then he glances over and sees the black stuff coming out of her eyes or something. Yeah, that's all they had to do.
That would be enough as an indication there's something wrong here.
He doesn't need to check her heart rate, which, if it's not there, is on par. That's good.
Yes, exactly.
I still hear a heartbeat.
Dead.
Something's wrong.
Does the niece get her money back?
No, because Mama's dead, or
No.
Auntie Janet's dead.
Listen, he provided the
He
service.
did the service. What comes out of her is up to her.
That's right. That's you read the paperwork. It says that I will provide you chemicals that you will self-administer. If you die, then everybody's happy. But if you don't die, that's kind of on you.
Good stuff, man. Andrew,
Yeah.
16 and a half minutes, and we have not gotten past the credits, so which I'm fine with. This is great conversation. This is excellent stuff.
This is always the way.
What you got to do.
These problematic episodes. The credit sequence is like either knock it out of the park great or just raises more questions than it answers. And you're like, I don't know what we're going to be in for.
Oh, man. We are in for a ride. Several rides in this episode. So
weird. Definitely. It is worth noting that at the end of the credit sequence, the actual credits, the tagline is changed to "I per si muove." Did you caught that, of course? And you Googled the heck out of it?
I did not.
You don't know what it means.
I went cool.
Oh.
I figured you'd tell me, so I was leaving it up to you.
You're trusting that I would. Well, you're lucky I actually did. So in this case, I don't know how to say it. I per si muove. Oh, you have Italian blood in you, do you not?
I do. I am 100%.
So you know how this is pronounced, of course.
Yes, but
because it's Italian.
I'm letting you do it.
Oh, this is nice of you to let me.
I don't want to come off as pompous, so you go ahead.
That's good of you. Okay. I per si muove, or whatever, is Italian for "but it does move." And supposedly, this is a phrase that Galileo had said under his breath, after the church forced him to admit his theory of the earth revolving around the sun was incorrect, meaning that no matter what someone makes you say, it doesn't change what you know to be true. So he was like, they were like, Galileo, you must recant that you think the earth moves around the sun. Because, of course, we all know the sun moves around the earth. It's a known fact. And he's like, all right, fine, it does. And then he's like, but it really
doesn't move.
So,
you guys suck.
So all of that is in that little catchphrase, yeah.
So maybe they're answering the question there. What I know to be true about the black oil is that it is a force to be reckoned with if it enters your body.
Sure.
And what they're telling me here is that it's different. It's nuanced.
That is definitely what they're telling us. All right, let's move on because you're right.
No, that's 20 minutes. It's all good. We go now to St. Petersburg, Russia. An elderly man dips a tea infuser into his cup while gentle orchestra plays. A knock at his door. Someone's asking for him. Vasily Peskov. He gets up to answer the door. A man has an urgent communique from Comrade Arnson in Krasnoyarsk. Peskov claims he's retired, but Arnson anticipated this response. The man says the Cold War isn't over and hands Peskov a document and walks away.
Boy, that guy Arnson really knows how to activate Peskov. Yeah. Just invoke the Cold War. I used to love the Cold War. This is great.
Sweet.
Over. I get to go and kill Americans.
In Mulder's cell, for those who do not remember, the last episode ended with Mulder getting the black oil dumped on him in a test chamber. He's curled up in a corner. The prisoner in the next cell calls to him, waking Mulder from his fever dreams. The man feared Mulder dead. He's been lying there for hours. He says the first time is bad. They've done this to him plenty. It becomes easier until it kills you. Mulder has now been exposed to what the prisoner calls the black cancer, which lives in the rock. The two men exchange words about the man and the history of the oil. He was once a geologist, now he's just a prisoner. He surmises the Russians are looking for a cure, but they don't tell them anything, and they're just left to guess. He also lets it out that he believes Krychek is likely dining with their captors. He heard laughter the last time he left Mulder's cell. It's here Mulder steals himself. I'm not going to die. I'm going to live long enough to kill that man, Krychek. The man passes Mulder a crude knife, and he too steals himself. It took him 2 weeks to make the knife, and by then he had lost the desire to kill himself.
That is just so dark.
It fucking is dark. He says it's amazing the persistence of life. For that oil to survive down in the rocks for so long without understanding, no. his captors will have to kill him. Oof. That's a tough man right there.
Yeah, that's a tough, dark scene.
I love that line.
I like the double meaning for "it's amazing the persistence of life," because I thought he was talking about himself. He was saying, I built this knife to kill myself, and then I decided not to do it. And probably it's like,
I think that is,
I still might
he's
live.
Paralleling himself to the oil.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, damn, that's good writing
So that's
right
good stuff.
But this guy, we never see him again, right? Like he's a one shot for
I believe so. Yeah.
this particular plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's bye-bye.
So on the list of things that we learn from this mythology episode, this is one. They're being exposed to the black cancer that lives within these rocks, that they mine the rocks and do experiments on it. That is a detail that we take away and go, oh, okay, that's what we're doing here. And that Russians are brutal.
Russians are fucking brutal. If you saw the contraption that Mulder was rigged in at the end of the last episode, it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. Now, do you think, I mean, we're trying to get a sense of who these Russians are, but they are clearly Russians who are aware of aliens and the alien threat because they're doing their own experiments here.
Mm-hmm.
And my recollection is that, when you're talking Russian spies, you're talking capable operators. Like they're not dummies. They know things. So what are the odds they don't know who this guy Mulder is? That he is just some random American. They're like, oh, cool. Another test subject. Throw him into the chicken wire.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. They might.
I mean, clearly they don't.
Yeah.
And they don't perceive his value.
True, but at the same time, what value would he have for them? Because...
Well, they're in a competition with the syndicate, right?
Well, yeah, but...
You don't think he's worth some sort of trade value?
I'm not saying he isn't.
So hot and cold on Mulder.
I guess there could be some plot line there where you have a point. But that being said, the syndicate would be happy to have Mulder gone.
As a whole, but CSM not so much.
CSM maybe not.
They have already played that card of, the unique role Mulder plays in The Plan. He said it to the alien bounty hunter. I watched it happen.
Well, maybe that's why CSM's looking for him.
Yes. Well, anyway, all that to say that it's part of the DNA of this show to put our characters in danger, and then later on have the villain say,
Can't kill him.
I would never have killed you. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't kill you. You're my son, or whatever it's going to be.
At the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, Scully works diligently, still trying to help the good doctor who is paralyzed from the black oil. His blood is slightly thickened, perhaps due to decreased heart rate and blood pressure. Another scientist has found something interesting, though, under the microscope. Something surrounding his pineal body. To us, it looks like a cluster of black, worm-like organisms in a horrifying scene. This is disgusting. This is him peering into this doctor's body and seeing some very realistic-looking, lifelike-looking cluster of worms around this guy's pineal gland. Looks no good.
I will make it easier for you to tell you that they weren't actually looking at Dr. Sachs's pineal gland in real life. It was
Are you sure?
Something else. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I mean, the show's pretty good for its realism, but I don't know about that so much. Yeah,
I was worried.
What I want to know is who the hell is this new guy, and what happened to Agent Pendrell?
They realized Pendrell's a douchebag and got this guy.
Couldn't get up for this episode.
They didn't want to pay him too much money. He couldn't have a huge role.
That's right. Go back to the shop, Pendrell.
He's
we don't
probably
need you
in
no
the
more.
fucking bathroom yanking it. Oh my God, I've been
He
close to
probably is.
Scully for a week.
She touched me on my wrist. She said I was doing a great job. And then she made me go get a coffee, and I did. And then she said I did a good job.
Keep it up yourself.
I felt special.
I'm keeping it up myself. Okay, in Richmond, Virginia, Peskov is now in America. He sits as he waits for a bus, offering a slice of apple to a woman sitting near him.
What a nice old man.
He's so pleasant. I love this guy. He's headed to Charlottesville.
Nothing bad will happen.
We go now to the inside of a barn. Dr. Karn Sayre comes in and flicks on a light to see the horses in their stables. As she nears the back of the barn, she sees a man in the shadows and questions him. It's Peskov. He introduces himself to the woman who kindly, fearing for her life, asks him to leave. Peskov apologizes, seemingly for his imposition. As she goes to call him a cab, he says he came here for her, catching her off guard. She doesn't know him. It's at this moment he grabs her throat and forces her against the wall, gazing into her eyes as she struggles to breathe. Oh my God. This man is a monster.
She really should have paid attention in self-defense class because all she can do is claw at his hand. And
she doesn't
gag.
aim for the nuts at all, which are probably pretty low at this point. She could reach them no problem.
It's true. Although he's hardened Soviet spy.
Maybe he castrated himself.
He probably has, a
steel
strap or whatever there. Yeah. He's fine.
He's got Benoit balls.
He does.
4 balls.
Yeah, he would take that.
He could take it.
He would laugh.
Outside Scully's apartment, Skinner meets up with her, and he is pissed, Andrew. He's been trying to get a hold of her for the better part of a day. He's being asked questions he doesn't have answers to regarding the diplomatic pouch. Pouch. She goes on to explain the pouch had a biohazardous organism, luckily being contained in a contamination lab at NASA. Skinner tells her it was on its way to a Dr. Benita Carncer.
You know that woman who just got killed?
Whoa, spoiler. Scully knows this name, a well-known physician and virologist who's taken care of presidents, an authority on variola viruses, or smallpox, Andrew. Very important to this show.
Oh, yes.
She has been a vocal proponent in the elimination of the last remaining stores of the smallpox virus, destroying the only remaining vials in facilities in Atlanta and the former Soviet Union. Well, she was killed tonight. A horse stepped on her throat.
Because that happens surprisingly often.
In a riding accident. So I guess she was thrown from the horse and the horse came back for another round. Horse wasn't done and she apparently was just laying there.
I want to know how Vasily Peskov engineered that crime scene to
I don't know.
To make it look
I think they got some Keystone cops because he's totally strangling her.
Oh, yeah.
So in about a couple hours, they're going to have fingerprints on her throat, identifiable gripping around her neck.
Unless he took a horse's hoof and smashed it so hard through her throat.
It decapitated her. Just
yeah, basically. Weirdest thing. You don't hear about it happening, but it does a fair bit when you're a rider. Yeah.
Yep. Back in Tunguska, Mulder is forcibly taken from his cell by a guard who assaults him. We go outside. The prisoners are being herded out by men with rifles. They trudge through the mud as a flatbed truck makes a delivery. One of the prisoners points out Krychek to Mulder, who is seen hugging someone and laughing. It's the doctor who infected Mulder and other men. The prisoners are being marched along and Mulder sees an opening. Fetching the crude knife from his waistband, Mulder dashes for Krychek. He plows into him, knocking both of them onto the flatbed truck and begins punching him in the face, knocking him out. Mulder threatens the doctor, who gets too close and then hops into the driver's seat and takes off. Men on horses rush after Mulder's truck. He speeds along the dirt trail. Krychek slowly comes to in the back of the truck as Mulder drives. He realizes the truck doesn't handle very well, Andrew, and his brakes are bad, so Mulder's having a little bit of trouble here. He struggles to slow the vehicle down the downward trail, but fails to do so. Krychek chooses life and rolls off the truck into the ditch as Mulder speeds along a little ways ahead. Finally, without being able to control the truck, he runs off the road, tumbling down a small embankment.
It's a weird scene.
It is a weird scene.
I'm not going to lie. Bit of a weird scene.
I want to know, when Mulder makes a break for it from the prisoner lineup there, where are the horsemen? They're all conveniently far enough away for this to happen.
Yes.
Yet they're on horses.
And there's literally a guard right there next to them in the scene before the prisoner says, hey, there's your guy over there. So, I mean, you need Mulder to escape.
Absolutely.
That's what the script has designed. But the method of his escape is unlikely, I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing Russians know how to do, it's how to keep people in prison. So, and they've got plenty of men with guns and horses, which are fairly fast. So the fact that they've got a lineup of prisoners who are not chained together, by the way,
Yeah.
So that could have ended horribly for them. They could have all just scattered.
There are at least 100 prisoners in there that, I mean, yeah, the guards are going to shoot some of you. Some of you are going to die. But you see what they're doing to you?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This is a fate worse than death. I think you could take your chances to organize.
Yeah, just organize and get it done. Because if Mulder can escape this easily, maybe they're not quite as dangerous. But
exactly. So these are either the world's slowest horses or the fastest Ural in existence, and it's not fast. And the brake sequence, Mulder doesn't know how to drive. Is the answer to this question?
Yeah, he does not do well.
That ain't no automatic.
No,
that is definitely a manual transmission on that thing. And do you drive stick? Do you know how to drive?
I do know how to drive stick, yeah.
So your brakes go out. What do you do?
You use the parking brake.
I will accept that there is no. I will accept that there is probably no emergency brake on that old ass Mercedes, whatever it is. But so the answer is you gear down. You go into a higher gear and use the engine.
Yep.
To slow you down.
You do the engine braking.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, I mean, it's not in this vehicle, but, when a semi goes by and you hear it go, it's energy brake or engine brake. Anyway, tension. It's all about the tension.
It's all about tension. It was cool.
That's right.
It was nice. As always, it's nice to see Krychek getting punched in the face.
Just desserts.
Yes. Good times.
Except that's my other complaint about this scene is that Mulder makes such a big deal of I'm not going to die until I kill that man. And what does he do? He runs up and he punches the shit out of Krychek. He's got a knife in his hand. Doesn't give him a good laceration to go. No, it just
he wants to enjoy it, Andrew. He wants to go serial killer on this. He wants to string him up somewhere and gut him.
Okay.
So he can't just outright kill him. No.
God, and Krychek's going to come back for the sequel. So yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll take that.
At the well-manicured man's farm.
According to reports, your personal physician suffered a serious riding accident here on your property.
Dr. Carn-Serre was murdered.
By whom?
If I knew, do you think I'd be standing here talking to you?
So, you need me now. A man of my capabilities. Is that it?
This was a professional hit.
Really? And you out here all alone, so vulnerable? Were you sleeping with her? Surely you wouldn't be so foolish as to put the project at risk for the sake of your personal pleasures.
Find her killer.
Call off this congressional investigation.
I can't. But Senator Sorensen is an honorable man. They are all honorable. These honorable men.
Maybe, just maybe, he can be bought.
Is that the implication? Because I don't think it's clear what the implication is. And that's my general problem with these scenes between the well-manicured man and the cigarette-smoking man. They're so...
Like they get lost in the shadiness of...
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're so ripe with their own... I can't even find the word. It's just such bullshit.
That it goes from really cool and intriguing to what the hell are they talking about?
What are you even talking about? I would just like for one of them to say, can you say that again clear? Because what do you mean exactly? This whole allusion to Julius Caesar with they're all honorable men. I mean, that's all, they should be if he's implying what I think he's implying, then they're self-serving and two-faced. They're not.
I think the general idea is that CSM can buy Sorensen's vote in the sense to halt this thing or stop it where it is rather than it's for interpretation, just like everything else.
Just like everything else in this episode, I look at this like, well, why is the congressional hearing being called in the first place? I thought it was at the behest of the syndicate, to find out where Mulder is. And it's like, yeah, okay, what you're telling me is there's some other power has organized this that you don't have power over?
The government itself called this hearing before the syndicate could react to the situation. That's where I get with it.
Okay.
So CSM's like, we don't want this matter looked into any more than it already is. And for some reason, to CSM, well-manicured man, has some connections here where he thinks he can get him to call it off. But
I suppose.
I don't know. I mean, is it ever explained? No.
Well, the well-manicured man should be as pissed off as CSM is that the Congress is investigating this. It's like, This is attention we do not want on our experiment. What are we doing here?
To be fair, I don't think that well-manicured man is not upset they're looking into it. I think his penis is running the show right now. He's mad. His girlfriend just got iced.
Fair enough. He's pissed off.
He's pissed off.
Dr. Benita Carn Sayers has just been killed. All right. Okay. All right. I'm there. It's still very cagey, though. I mean,
as Will Smith said after bitch slapping Chris Rock, love will make you do crazy things. So,
okay. Oh, dear. Did they allude to the fact the Russians are involved?
They did. At the very end of this scene, CSM heard that Mulder was captured and now he's escaped. And then he offers that cryptic, wake the Russian berry and it may find out you've stolen its honey or something like that.
Yeah.
And I totally just paraphrased from my head. And I think I was pretty fucking close.
I think it's kind of what he says. It's like, Jesus Christ, can you just say something a bit more?
Say it.
Direct.
Stop being cryptic. I'm not in the mood.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to take a stab at what he is alluding to here? Is it the honey is the rock and the Russians are coming for it? Is that all it is?
Yes, I think that is what it is.
Okay.
I mean, this will be a whole other line of conversation as to who the Russians are and who Krychek is and what is happening here. But yeah, I think what he's alluding to is the fact that the Russians are involved. That's all I got so far.
All right. So we get a short ass scene here. Back at the crash site, the horsemen are searching for Mulder, but he is nowhere to be seen. Krychek is running for his life and falls to the ground, his arm injured. Suddenly, he's startled by sounds in the woods. Slowly, a group of men show themselves, all missing their left arms. They slowly surround him. Alex asks them what they want, out of breath and fearful. He says he escaped from the prison camp, but one of the men pegs him as a liar. It's here that Krychek plays the American card, being falsely accused of spying. And the man says that he can protect him. Krychek can't believe his ears. Mulder here does his best Rambo impression by hiding from the horsemen in a pile of leaves. It's cute. It's very cute.
Where are the dogs? Where are the sniffer dogs?
They have the scent horses on it.
Yeah.
They are on it.
And all you need is that horse to like step on Mulder's throat. We got 2 horse throat deaths.
2 throat deaths. Death by horse.
You never see
it
coming until it happens.
Nope. And no one ever finds Mulder. He is left to die in Tunguska under the leaves. He is reclaimed by the earth. And Scully gets arrested. So
yeah,
we go now to the Senate subcommittee. Scully is being sworn in to testify. We get here, Andrew, the opening scene of the last episode. Meanwhile, the men pass a note to Sorensen. Something's going on. As she speaks, she tries to get out her frustration with the procedures and bureaucratic nonsense that has prevented her from letting her do her job.
It's worth noting this is verbatim, the opening sequence from Tunguska. Mm-hmm. They do themselves a favor by shooting it again from different angles so that you get
adding
different
scenes.
Perspectives. Yeah.
Yep, they add the note thing, I believe.
Yeah. Well, we didn't see that in Tunguska because the camera was straight on Scully the whole time.
Exactly.
This time we hear her talking, but now we get to see what's happening on the panel. And can I just ask, I have a procedural question, Your Honor.
Noted.
Why is there a senator at a congressional hearing?
Because he's cool. He is bigger and better. Maybe he's just a state senator. No one likes them.
It's still not a congressman.
No, it's not.
What is he doing at
Maybe he's on lunch, checking it out. He heard about this newfangled thing called Court TV. He wanted to be a part of it.
Fair enough. It's all about improving his personal profile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Carry on, sir.
So the men who are beyond prosecution, Scully says, prosecution and judgment, are the ones this panel should be investigating. She spars with Sorensen, who threatens to charge her with contempt of Congress. And the war of wills here always sticks with me. Her defiance in the face of this adversity is adorable, and I appreciate it. She knows this is a losing battle. She has to. But she does stand strong here and is dedicated to the facts as she sees them. But needless to say, this gets her nothing but a cold, lonely cell. They throw her in contempt of Congress.
They throw her into contempt of Congress jail.
Into contempt of Congress jail, a specific wing of the jail. These are the people who couldn't behave during court.
Yeah. And it's like 30 rooms down there. Like,
oh boy.
It's very much like, we got a room downstairs for people like you, and you're going to stay there for a while. Now, you do get food from the House of Congress Cafe, so it's pretty good. You won't want to go home.
What would they serve in the contempt of Congress buffet?
It would all be foods relating to making you talk. So
truth serum.
It would be hot wings.
Hot wings.
Yeah, it'd be
liar, pants on fire.
Yeah, it would be chicken vindaloo. And it'd be like, we'll give you some water. You just gotta answer our questions.
Just gotta answer our questions. Oh, that's good stuff. The OG truck driver, if you will, is in the woods searching. He is upset, Andrew. Without his truck, he can't work. He walks through some leaves and then turns back. He's not a fool, Andrew. He's a mountain man with a scruffy beard, and he knows his leaf piles. So he walks back, reaches in, and plucks Mulder from his hiding place with no problems. Something
Your Honor, I object
a group
to
of
this
guards
plot
could
point.
not do.
He must be fucking psychic, because I do not buy that he he must be
He
here.
knows his leaf piles. I'm telling you, this guy knows his surroundings.
Maybe it's his backyard, and maybe they were all stacked up nicely, and then the horses and Mulder came through, and they messed up all the leaf piles.
You screw up my yard.
You destroy my truck. You destroy my leaf piles. What are you going to do next? Kill my dog?
Oh, Scruffy's dead.
You drove over him.
So I make a joke because, like everything else in this episode, it's not very well laid out how they did it.
Oh yeah,
but as he walks past Mulder, or where we find out Mulder is, there is a sound, but it could easily have been just nature.
The sound of the forest.
Exactly. But it's like they didn't mix it properly, or they didn't draw enough attention to it. So it really looks like he just plucks Mulder out of the fucking leaves because he's psychic.
I think the easy fix to this, oh my God, why are we fixing this episode? The easy fix is he fucking steps on Mulder. He walks over and steps on Mulder's balls, and Mulder goes, ugh. And I was like, what the? And then he pulls him out of the fucking leaves. What?
Oh, well.
And Mulder would deserve it for the shit he's pulled. Come on.
He stole his truck. Well, he gets thrown into the woodman's home. The driver's upset. He's yelling at his wife, and she's just trying to understand what's going on. They shout at each other in Russian. He's scared of what's going to happen now that he has no truck, and the woman tends to Mulder and notices he has a scar on his arm. She knows exactly what's going on, Andrew. It's always the test. Mulder has to go. He wants to take them. But she shows him her son, who has no left arm. No arm, no test, she says, illuminating the men helping Krychek. Mulder begs her to take him to St. Petersburg, and the driver enters the room with a thud, holding a large knife.
Okay, I have some questions.
Uh-oh.
Mike, how many arms do you have?
2.
So when you lose one, how many arms are you left with?
1.
And is the implication that the shot can only be administered to the left arm?
Yes.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I suspect you could probably do the test on the right arm too.
I don't know. That's undetermined, Andrew.
That is undetermined.
Undetermined. You're making a lot of assumptions, and I don't appreciate it.
I am making a few assumptions. I'm making about as many assumptions as the wife when she asks him, if you didn't want to bring trouble, why did you bring him here? And indeed, why not return Mulder to the captors for a reward of some kind? Because, like, clearly they're looking for Mulder.
I think he sensed this was part of the plot and that Mulder can't die. So he thought taking him home, even though he hates him right now, would be the best.
Just compelled to bring him home and then have a knife out to threaten him and yet save him later.
You are a martyr. And if you die, things are going to happen. That's going to be bad news for a bad group of people.
Maybe, but that's never illuminated. So
well, who knows?
I mean, the dude returns with a knife, and the cliffhanger of this moment is Mulder's going to get his right arm, left arm, whichever arm chopped off.
Yep.
And yet, of course, that will not happen. There are script pages missing here because next time we see Mulder, circumstances are going to be dramatically better. But I won't spoil that because I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, well, you just did, so.
I spoiled it lightly. I
set it up so our listeners would not know what happens.
Our listeners have seen these episodes.
I don't believe it. They wait for us.
Okay, sure.
We go now to the woods. Krychek is sleeping like a little baby. It's nighttime still. The men helping him begin to surround him. With a jolt, he wakes up as they grab at him, holding him down. The one man who spoke to him earlier approaches with a knife of his own, red hot from the fire. As they hold him down, the man descends on Krychek, and he begins screaming bloody murder as the man saws away at his left arm.
Ugh.
Yikes.
That is brutal. That is just the most brutal scene I've ever seen.
I did just say I like to see Krychek get his. This is rough. I don't think he deserves this. I know he's killed several people that have hindered our agents and made them feel bad, but I don't know. This is kind of mean.
Well, I think the problem is that it's so base. You know, it's like they think that they're doing him a favor by cutting off his arm, which is the other thing, right? It's like, no arm? You're going to be fine. It's just brutal. Like, and he could die from this. It's the worst part.
Well, they've got it down to a science now. They only lost a few men at the beginning.
They are using a red hot knife, so they've come along.
Cauterized. They tried scissors the first couple times.
The commercial is probably for discount prosthetics.
Discount prosthetic. Have you ever needed an arm?
Have you lost your arm in Russia from a group of fanatics thinking that losing your left arm means you won't be experimented on?
Well, we've got the arm for you. And he holds up a prosthetic arm with a hand that has a thumbs up.
Let us arm you properly. Have you been disarmed?
God.
We are arms dealers. The original arms dealers. We're leg dealers. We're finger dealers.
No. These guys steal specifically in excellent arms.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is where Krychek gets his arm at the end of the episode. He got his brand spanking new 1997 model arm from these guys.
From Oleg's Arms. Oleg's Discount Arms.
Discount Arms.
One original owner only.
Fucking hell.
Oh, God.
Okay, Skinner stops in to see Scully, who is reading up on variola virus with her highlighter.
I can understand you protecting Agent Mulder, but...
It is not just Agent Mulder that I am protecting, sir.
Then what are you doing?
We were called before this committee to answer questions about a murder. About an intercepted diplomatic pouch. A pouch that was to be delivered to a prominent doctor. A woman who is now dead, as is the man who is delivering the said pouch. The contents of which have infected an exobiologist with a paralyzing toxin. Yet, what are we stuck on here? The whereabouts of Agent Mulder.
You mean it's the wrong question?
Several of the men on this committee are lawyers. It is my experience that lawyers ask the wrong question only when they don't want the right answer.
Unless Agent Mulder has already found the answers they're looking for.
Or someone wants to make sure that he doesn't find them.
He's a congressman we're talking about, Agent Scully.
I know that, sir. And it is my natural inclination to believe that they are acting in the best interest of the truth. But I am not inclined to follow my own judgment in this case.
So you're going to follow Agent Mulder's? Is that it?
It's a good scene between the two. Skinner is really trying to understand her and relate to her, but I do like that she still stands firm with Skinner. She's laying out the facts, and her bullshit detector is going off, sounding the alarms. She's laying it all on the line in Mulder's name, and she's protecting him here while he gets his answers, because ultimately these congressmen just strike her as insincere, and she doesn't feel inclined to believe them or trust them. So she's taking a little bit more of a stand here for Mulder rather than being the wet blanket that she usually is with her science. To be fair, the science is pointing towards very, very alien pathogen, but she is taking a stand in front of government people, government officials in an official hearing that this is an extraterrestrial based thing. So not going to sit well.
I have some questions.
Yes.
Does Scully even know where Mulder is?
No.
So why doesn't she just say, I don't know where he is?
I don't know.
Instead, she's all like, well, if I told you, I would endanger his life. But I really don't believe we have seen a scene. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm fairly certain he never calls her and says, I'm going to Tunguska with Krychek.
Krychek.
The last thing we know, I think, from them is she looks up the address of Marita Covarrubias in New York for him. And then he goes off the deck. That's what I recall.
Yeah.
So it could be wrong. I'm willing to go and check. But the other thing I have is, do they question Skinner at all?
Well, he was on the line in the first episode. They were coming at him and asking questions. And at the beginning of this episode, he's like, look, they're asking me questions I don't have answers to. And it's all surrounding you and Mulder and this stupid diplomatic pouch.
The pouch. Diplomatic pouch.
Pouch.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah,
I do believe he's been talked to.
That's fine.
At the end of the day, Scully and Mulder are responsible for this pouch that they intercepted. Pouch.
But they don't care about it on the panel. They're only caring about where's Mulder?
Yeah.
Where's Mulder?
Yeah.
What about my man?
What about my man?
You keep going.
Okay.
I'm going to take a look at the transcript for Tunguska and see if Scully even knows. I don't think she does.
From Scully's cell, we go now to the containment lab back at NASA. The elderly Peskov enters the chamber with the good doctor who is paralyzed, still in his biosuit. He unsheathes a frightening needle and sticks it through the suit into the doctor's neck. He turns the head back upright, and we see the black oil begin to seep out of his orifices. He then detaches his life support and steals the Mars rock.
Okay, and I have questions here too. Like, this guy, I know he's a super spy. I know he's being painted as like this Cold Warrior. So the question is, how does he get here on his own, able to do this, injection onto Dr. Sachs with nobody the wiser? And there's no video camera that's on Sachs? I mean, come on.
They could have at least given him some sort of fake scientist disguise.
Yeah, a mustache.
Or some credentials that make it look like he snuck in. He literally looks like he's off the street here. So,
or give me a scene where he pulls the fire alarm and everybody has to go, and then he sneaks in and does the thing. But I don't know. Without that, I just watch this and go, what? How did he come in and do this thing? I mean, I know he's got the illusion of the doddering old man, but I mean, come on. You don't get in a NASA Goddard by accident. This is
he just wanted to, it's an old guy. Just let him in.
Would anybody like an apple?
Does anybody know where the bathroom is?
Yeah. I really need to use your bathroom. Oh, right this way, sir. Come on. And just to follow up, I have reviewed the tape of Tunguska. There is no scene where Mulder tells Scully where he's going. The most we get are two things. We have Mulder leaving Krychek, and he says, if I'm not back in a week, I'll call Agent Scully to come and bring you a bowl of water. Ha ha ha.
Hi-yo.
And then the next scene we have with Skinner and Scully, and Skinner is saying, well, where is Mulder? What does he know? And then Scully just says, Agent Mulder is endeavoring to get his own answers, sir. Skinner says, where? And then we're in Tunguska. So I guess you could imply that they have had a conversation that she knows where he is because she's that cryptic about where he's gone.
Yeah.
But would she then not tell Skinner where he's gone? Come on. This is just lazy, you know?
Yeah. You know, as we'll find out in season 5, you can't always trust Skinner. And
it's true.
Maybe this is one of her moments where she just doesn't feel like she can trust Skinner for whatever reason, even though she has no real reason not to. So
that's fine, but give me 10 more seconds of scene so I can see her say, I don't think I'm going to tell you, sir, because if I tell you, then you'll know and you'll have to tell the Congress and it'll be bad. And I don't know.
Well,
it's not hard.
Maybe that happened because he does it at the end of this episode.
It didn't happen.
All right. Well, we're going to stop. We're going to take a pit stop here at Well-Manicured Man's farm.
Oh, this is even better writing going on now.
Yeah, he's reporting the news of Peskov, a KGB Line X stringer. Well-Manicured Man is beside himself. How could he know they're working on their own inoculation? 6 people knew, Andrew. And CSM guesses that maybe the late Carncer was a leak. But it's here that Well-Manicured Man pushes back. She was trusted. And Well-Manicured Man wants him dead. Find him, Andrew. His penis is angry.
His penis is doing a lot of directing right now. CSM says there's going to be a person that is going to save them the trouble of finding Peskov.
Yep.
What do you make of that? Because I didn't get it. Didn't understand it. I mean, we go to Scully, so is it Scully that's going to find him?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either. This is just babbly BS. I don't understand.
It's because these two are together. Something has to be cryptic.
Yes.
So let's just say something cryptic.
I feel like they opened it up and never did anything with it. You know, it's the last we're going to see these two in the episode. Peskov is going to be dealt with, apparently, but he's not.
No. Gavel spotlight, take 2. This is, again, where that nomination came from. Scully sits down for the showdown with Sorensen and company. And I gotta say, I fucking love Sorensen in this scene. The way he asks her politely if she's used her time in confinement to think about what she's done.
Can I just say, he keeps on calling her Miss Scully. She's a goddamn special agent of the FBI. Why does she not say...
Is an old white man. He doesn't have to give her any authority, all right? Any recognition of authority.
And he certainly does not. But I was waiting for her to push back and say,
I am a doctor, sir.
You can call me Dr. Special Agent.
Special Agent Doctor. I haven't decided on the order yet, okay? But
I'm a sad doctor, is what I am.
I'm a sad panda.
I'm a sad panda. All right, keep on going.
The conversation quickly devolves here. It's really neither of them are in the mood. Neither of them have budged at all. She doesn't want to answer him, and he's just going to ask the same question over and over.
Well, the implication he's going to send her back to Congress contempt jail.
Yeah, with spicy food and no water.
There'll be more chicken vindaloo for you, young lady.
Keep it up and I'll shove a ghost pepper down your throat.
I have that power under Congress.
Yes. He asked the question one more time, and, she says, no, I ain't going to fucking answer you. And then, in dramatic fashion, Mulder comes.
What is the question?
All right, let's come to order. Agent Scully, do continue.
Yes, sir. If I may, I would like to finish making my point.
What is your point, Miss Scully?
that the death of Dr. Karn Sayer, given her field of expertise, strongly suggests that she knew something about the toxin, about its origins, and that knowledge may be directly linked to the murder of the man in Assistant Director Skinner's apartment building.
Miss Scully?
Yes, sir. Assistant Director Skinner has just informed me that there has been an accident directly related.
An accident?
A doctor infected with the toxin has died under suspicious circumstances involving a theft of evidence of the contents of the diplomatic pouch.
Well, we've gotten off to a real fine start here. I'm going to recess now until this new matter can be explained, so we might then begin moving in a forward direction.
He bursts into the hearing with that triumphant horn from Mark Snow.
Mm-hmm. Sound the Mulder.
Sound the Mulder horn. Scully turns back, and with love in her eyes, she grins at her partner.
Oh, she is so
She
damn
is
happy.
so happy to see him. Look at her, that face. It's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Something has happened. Someone has killed the doctor that was paralyzed. And
no, to be fair, he died of natural causes.
Well, supposedly.
No one understood why.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He's dead, and the Mars rock is gone. She relays this to the congressman, and well, this is off to a real nice start. Guess we're going to have to adjourn until we can figure this out.
I guess our role is done here.
Well, we're done.
Yeah, that's right. I love how, in quick succession, these two
keyword
plot
quick
lines are shut down completely by first Congress and then by something else we'll get to in a second. Skinner is going to come down and just, nope, not going to talk about that.
Yep.
But we got this whole dramatic sequence of where's Mulder, and she won't answer, so she's going to contempt of Congress jail and all the rest. And then Mulder shows up and is like, well, I guess we'll recess to investigate this.
Now that we know where he is, we just wanted to know if you had just told us.
To know, because we have nothing more important to do.
Him being here opens no line of questioning. So we're just going to adjourn. We're going to recess right now.
There's nothing to be learned further.
Now that I know where he is, we can recess again.
That's right.
Well,
clearly, now that you have allowed your pieces of evidence to be destroyed, killed, or absconded with, I guess you should be fired. Clearly, I make the recommendation to your AD. Oh, look, he's right there. Skinner, you should really fire them for the bullshit that they're up to.
Well, Scully asks for Skinner's permission to go on a trip, Andrew, and he tells her not to give him any information because if he knows, he'll have to tell them. So he advises them in no uncertain terms that they must be back for their 10 a.m. hearing or he can't help them. And it is here, ladies and gentlemen, that the flights of the century are made.
Yes.
And you can start your fucking stopwatches because let me tell you, they are going to make that 10 a.m. hearing despite going to 4 different locations.
Yeah.
And I did the fucking math.
I'm glad you did because I'm amazed that this escaped me. You know what I focused on? What I focused on was Mulder getting back to Washington in record time.
Right,
Although
yeah. Well, we don't know when he left exactly. But yeah, it is
and
quick.
We don't know how much time Scully spent in contempt of Congress jail.
Yeah.
So give me a long fade between and, a montage of Scully in that cell doing push-ups.
Scratching fucking ashes on her fucking wall.
Yeah, marking
it's
the
been
days.
13 days.
Doing a prison tat with a Bic pen.
Yeah.
We don't get any of that, but clearly some time would have had to have passed for Mulder to escape from his predicament and get to St. Petersburg and then a connector through Heathrow and then to Washington.
A real missed opportunity is her growing like a 5 o'clock beard.
Scully growing the beard? Yeah, that is a missed opportunity. Not so much in 96 would you see that.
By the time she shows up in Congress again, she's got a teardrop tattooed under her eye.
Yeah.
some shit went down in contempt of Congress.
Yeah. But I want to know the story of Mulder's escape because, come on, the last we see him, he's in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, Russia.
Let me tell you something. They don't explain shit.
They don't.
He walks in with that knife, and Mulder must have tiptoed around everything, and he just sleight of hand, look over here. He got out of there.
There's a dead family in Tunguska, and he's like, I'm going to steal your other Mercedes truck, and your one-armed son is going to drive me to St. Petersburg. I mean, I don't know what that story is. He does start to tell it, because he says, it's been a crazy couple of days. And then
Some other
Skinner
time.
Skinner literally walks over and says, we don't have time for that. It's the best plot shutdown ever because he's like,
we don't got time.
Nope,
for
we
this.
don't have time to get into that. We gotta, you gotta do something else. But
it's almost as if Skinner knew that they had to travel city to city in record time and country. They go to Canada also.
Oh my God! Well, and I want you to get into that. I realize this is running real long, but the last thing I gotta say is when Mulder walks into that congressional chamber, he's wearing a suit and tie.
Yes.
So he had time to go home and change. And he doesn't give anyone the heads up that he's back. Surprise, I'm here.
It parallels what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up.
Oh, I am so looking forward to this part.
Jesus. Okay. Let me compose myself a little bit here.
Take a breath.
Okay, we go now from D.C., from the congressional hearing, to Harrow Convalescent Home, where we started the episode. Peskov is visiting the home at night as the nurse is making her rounds. He sneaks into the medicine cabinet and replaces some pills. Okay. We go again to the convalescent home. Mulder and Scully have arrived to investigate. They ask, it's 9:32 p.m., by the way. They ask politely to be let in, and then Mulder just kind of barges in, as he does. They search the patients and find that several of them are dead. And Mulder spots the black worms retreating from one of their bodies, and quickly notes the lifeless patient was holding her medical cup, or her medicine cup. So they are just test subjects, they surmise. They've been poisoned. Scully calls to have the home locked down for hazardous materials, and as the camera pans across the dead patients in their beds, it lands on Peskov, who has tucked himself into one of the beds, posing as a corpse. It's a good thing they didn't check that one.
That's right. They would have just shot him to do him in. He must be a zombie. So it's a 2-hour flight from Washington to Orlando, just in case.
I've done the math. And okay. I will get into it. Okay. He rises and he makes his getaway. And it's little Grinch getaway.
Okay.
We go now to the Federal Correctional Facility in New York City, somewhere around New York City. The agents arrive to question one of the terrorists about Krychek. Everything they've seen so far can supposedly be traced back to him. When they speak to the terrorist, he isn't so much interested in chatting, but he does offer some information. Krychek called himself Arnson. Remember that name from the beginning?
Yeah, he's one of the prop guys on staff.
He talked incessantly about the black cancer, and he had plans to build 2 devices. When the terrorist shrugs off answering where the second bomb is, Mulder threatens him with a good prison rape, getting him to unload.
The best inducement ever is, I'm going to make your life hell in prison.
Yeah, that is great to hear from law enforcement.
He's the best.
I do want to point out that they assert by the end of this scene that if you want to put the rock back where no one will find it, they bring it to Canada. Andrew, this is an indictment on Canadian lifestyle.
Well, it's true, though. It's true.
No one goes there.
No one goes to Canada, especially where they're going to go.
God damn it. No.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cruel. I think you're very entertaining. You're a good friend. This seemed harsh for the show to take such a stance, especially because they filmed there.
I know.
They're saying Canada is the place to not be. So
basically, yeah.
If you want to hide something, bring it to Canada.
So the flight from Orlando to New York, 2.5 hours.
Yep. And
the flight from New York to Grand Forks, USA, 5.5 hours.
Yep. Now, when you say Grand Forks, are you talking
what the closest
the Alberta thing?
Yeah, that's the closest to Terma. mythical place of Terma.
Okay.
Probably the only airport in North Dakota. But
your numbers so far are checking out with what I've got written down, so I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah. And that hearing that they were at, there's no way it was in the morning.
All right. Well, we're going to have to figure that out.
Okay.
We go now to the border crossing. Pascal fools the Border Patrol agent with fertilizer talk. He is all about his fertilizer, and he wows this guy. You can't be a bad guy. So you're growing tomatoes, all kinds of tomatoes. Now, in a scene reminiscent from Firewalker, the agents are flown by helicopter to an oil refinery. And where is this, Andrew?
In BC somewhere, clearly.
Yes,
but no,
yes.
the plot would have it be across the border somewhere south of Winnipeg if we're going north from North Dakota.
Mulder gets out at one location further out, and Scully flies to another location towards the center of the refinery because, of course, they're splitting up.
Yeah, what is the logic behind this? You go to the refinery and see if somebody knows anything. What?
Yeah. He investigates the truck that Peskov was driving. It's parked in a field next to a couple outcropping of pipes. He peers in to see the Mars rock shoved into one of the chambers. A blast of oil begins showering out of the vertical pipe high into the air, dousing Mulder in black oil.
Well, and this only happens because there is the scene where Scully is walking around the refinery, the completely abandoned refinery.
Yeah, no one's here.
It's a Sunday, I guess.
Scully investigates the catwalks of the refinery while Peskov hides from her. As she goes to open the valve room door, she finds it locked. Meanwhile, Mulder reaches for the rock in one of the pipes, but he just can't get it. And suddenly, an alarm in the truck begins to sound, and he finds himself out of time. He bolts, running for safety. A sharp blast from the truck sets the fountain of oil ablaze in grand X-Files fashion, sending Mulder to the ground. Meanwhile, Scully on the catwalks gets surprised by Peskov, who approaches her from behind, puts her in a neck hold, and grabs her gun. I would just as soon kill you, but please do not make me. My job is done. I will say, pretty good. He's KGB. His work is about the work. It's not about just racking up corpses. So I do enjoy this. It's kind of, I could kill you. You are in a very vulnerable position, but I'm done. So I'm not even going to worry about you.
I call such bullshit on this scene because it's like he could just turn around and walk away. She's looking over there at explosion with the drawn face of my partner's over there. He doesn't have to do the
He doesn't have to show himself.
Take your gun. No, he can
that's
walk
true.
down that way and he's gone. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing here? I've never seen you before. Oh, I am a refinery employee. Did something bad happen here? Instead, this whole sequence is bogus beyond belief because it's like, why are you doing the explosion-y thing here to get rid of this evidence in a refinery in Canada, of all places? If you're telling me that you need a high amount of heat to destroy this evidence, you surely could find something a bit more conveniently located.
It's never understood, just like so many other things in this episode.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the heat. I think it is, for some reason, that pipe leads underground, and the explosion allowed it to fall. You see it fall. I don't understand why that does what it does or how that works at all or why it had to be in Canada, but it did. Apparently.
They have a perfectly good abandoned mine filled with millions of records in West Virginia that they could drop this thing into, and they own it. So, well,
that's the syndicate.
Not? Right. Okay. So that's the other aspect of this episode that makes no sense to me is what this plan is even about. And the best I can think is that we've got the Russian version of the syndicate.
Yep.
God, this is going to be a long one, this episode, and I'm sorry about that.
No, we are
Russian
at record time.
Yeah. So we got the Russian version of the syndicate of which Glasses Man and his horseback guards are members doing their vaccination experiments up in Tunguska. So we got that faction, and I think basically, if I get this right, Krychek is going to fuck over those guys. That's his whole plan.
Okay.
So we got two you've got a Russia versus Russia thing going on. Because otherwise, if Krychek is working for that syndicate, why on earth are they doing this at all? Because the sample from Tunguska that these couriers are sending over and getting messed up with, those are coming from glasses-wearing Russian syndicate, right? They're coming from Tunguska to America, and they're being intercepted by, of the first part, sloppy customs guy. But in the second one, Krychek enlists Mulder and Scully to intercept that other package. So he uses them to get that in order to somehow get it to Pesco to destroy in Canada. This is the logic that I am seeing here.
And that's about the logic you can pull from it.
Yeah. Why they go to Russia, why Krychek allows Mulder to take him to Russia, other than free trip back home, I guess. I mean, you're going to lose your arm, but you didn't predict that. But
no. Let's wrap up this scene here.
Oh, God, please, yeah.
We are, believe it or not done with the episode.
Yeah, there's more, yeah.
So Scully sees the explosion from the trees in the distance and heads out to find Mulder. She finds him on the ground and lifts him to his feet, and the two walk off. He is doused in oil, mind you.
Oh, yeah. That is the least harmful thing about this episode.
Hold on. We're not done.
Okay.
We go now back to the Senate subcommittee. Scully sets out in front of the congressman to implicate Krychek in everything that's happened. She has evidence in the form of documents and interviews in support of the conspiracy to control a lethal toxin of extraterrestrial origin. Needless to say, the congressmen find this hilarious, Andrew.
What evidence are you then presenting us with today?
Documents and interviews in support of a wide-ranging conspiracy to control a lethal biotoxin that is, in fact, extraterrestrial.
Are we talking about little green men here?
No, sir, not at all.
Why is this so hard to believe? When the accepted discovery of life off this planet is on the front page of every newspaper around the world, when even the most conservative scientists and science journals are calling for the exploration of Mars and Jupiter, with every reason to believe that life and the persistence of it is thriving outside our own terrestrial sphere? If you cannot get past this, then I suggest that this whole committee be held in contempt for ignoring evidence that cannot be refuted.
This is not why we are here today.
Then why are we here today?
Oh, Mulder. Such a drama queen.
Please show me the scene where he gets sent to jail for contempt of Congress for this, for this outburst.
You got to admire his spirit, though, right?
Oh, yeah. But he's not called as a witness. He is out of order, sir.
Out of order, sir. Well, you get a warning. You get one more attempt.
You get a gavel strike.
You get a gavel strike. Good, sir. Please hush.
Yep.
Back in St. Petersburg, Russia, Peskov arrives home at his apartment to find an Alex Krychek. Before he starts, he says, "I'm retired." But Krychek simply congratulates him on a job well done. He dips a metal infuser into his tea with a brand new, state-of-the-art, 97 model arm and hand. She's a beaut.
She's a beaut, that one.
A beaut. That thing is polished.
Ooh, that's the best Russian arm you can buy.
In Sorensen's office, he's reading some files, and he hands them across his desk to someone. As the camera circles, we see it's CSM smoking away as he reviews the contents of the folder, and he tosses it into the trash next to him, along with so many others. Credits.
Finally.
Okay, Andrew.
Tell you how I really feel?
How do you really feel? We're not going to do final thoughts on this episode. We are tearing it a new one. But
oh no, mine's pretty brief.
Okay.
Mike, what have we learned in Tunguska and Terma?
What is that?
Really? The only thing I walk away with from these episodes is that there is another player in the global conspiracy, the Russians, who are more brutal than the syndicate in their methods. That they have an imperfect vaccine to give some sort of resistance to the black oil. That Krychek is a big deal, and he's going to be back in the game. That Marita Kovarubius is sexy, but not sexy enough for Mulder. This is what I have learned. The plot, convoluted beyond belief. A series of giant set pieces that might work as a popcorn cruncher movie, but for the X-Files, just too much to fit into even 2 episodes. The full circle moment, which you have to come back to find truth. We come back to the bomb-making militia that feels so tacked on, and frankly, the whole plot as conceived by Krycek is so dense, I'm not sure I figured it out. Even further, the interchanges between the well-manicured man and cigarette-smoking man are so obtuse, they don't resolve anything either. What have I gained by watching these episodes, Mike? Not a whole lot.
Well, that's fair. I focused on, instead of like real final thoughts, trying to calculate the travel time.
Yes, I'm ready.
The flight times in this episode at the end are egregious. So, okay. It's absolute insanity.
Yeah.
We go DC to Boca Raton. Boca Raton to New York. Then from we go
from New
back
York to Grand Forks.
We go New York to Alberta. Man, altogether, I think. Okay, so let me see here. The first part, DC to Boca, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I looked up the flight time. It's about 2 hours, 45 minutes. Boca Raton to New York, 2.5 hours maybe.
Is there even an airport in Boca Raton? I think you got to go to Orlando.
I didn't go there, but
okay,
I did a little bit more. It's about a 2-hour drive from JFK to Otisville, which I think is the closest prison to JFK.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
Let's just assume that the meeting in the prison was they arranged it on the phone in the drive to Otisville, and they were ready to take the agents in, and they got their interview done in 5 minutes. Let's believe that. It's then 2 hours back to New York City to fly to Alberta, which is 5 hours and 20 minutes away. We are sitting right now at about 14 hours and 40 minutes in just flight time and travel time. So,
and it's daylight when they are in Winnipeg or wherever they are for the refinery sequence.
So at this point, we just have to to make this work a little bit better, we just have to assume all their destinations are conveniently located on the tarmac of the airports they're flying into.
There's no travel time. Yeah. The prison is at JFK. It's Contempt of Congress prison in JFK.
Yes.
And they brought the prisoner there.
Okay. So from DC Congress, they hop a flight to Boca, investigate within minutes of landing, reboard the plane, take off to New York, interview the prisoner who's waiting for them conveniently at the prison that is on the tarmac.
Yeah. JFK
it's a short couple minutes. They reboard the plane and fly to Alberta's famous oil refinery airport, search the grounds for half an hour until it explodes. Mulder takes a shower at the airport with their convenient showers, reboard the plane again, and head back to DC, where they get a decent amount of sleep and make it to the hearing on time.
That is clearly what happened. That's probably the worst we've ever seen.
It's unbelievable. And you know what? Yeah. To top it all off, the bounty hunter is nowhere to be seen. So you can't even say they hitched a ride.
Yeah. They could have given them the weekend. It's Friday. Congress is in session over the weekend. We're picking this up Monday morning, 9 a.m. Agents, be there.
Yeah. So I think I don't have like a final number, but just to recap.
Oh, it's a big number.
DC to Boca, 2 hours, 50 minutes. Boca to New York, 2 hours, 50 minutes. That's 5 hours. I'm flying off the handle here. New York City to Alberta, that's another 5.5 hours. We're at 10 hours and 30 minutes. Let's say that investigation takes 30 minutes. With a shower and a ride back, another 30 minutes. 11 hours and 30 minutes. Get back to their apartments from DC's airport. Let's say that's another 30 minutes. That's 12 hours. Get 8 hours of sleep. They're up by 8 a.m. and back in court by 10. So they would have had to leave when, Andrew? You said it couldn't possibly have been in the morning. So when did this...
I really doubt that Congress met before 10 a.m. because those are old men up there.
Okay, so we've got...
Yeah.
We've got about
10:30, maybe they left?
20 hours almost.
Yeah.
In between the congressional hearing and all this traveling. So I don't know, man.
Well, that explains
there would
why...
have to have been an 8-hour session or a 10 a.m. session.
Well,
maybe noon.
Exploded then because he's got zero sleep. He's been operating. He's almost been blowed up, and he barely had a shower. So yeah, no wonder he flew off the handle when they laughed at his little green men thing. Yeah, I have doubts about all of that, obviously.
I think I mentioned a little blurb in
in Tunguska you mentioned it. Yeah,
but I mean I mentioned a little commentary on this for the old LSG podcast when they did this episode. I had a comment like their travel time is unreal in this episode.
So you've been waiting a long time to
I can't tell you how happy I am to finally address it.
And you know what we're missing, of course, is they land at Alberta's famous oil refinery airport, get onto a helicopter, and begin the very short search for the 2-ton truck, which has the explosive in it. Talk about a needle in a haystack. Yeah. And yet there it is. It's like there. Yeah, not likely.
Good stuff. But we should get to listener comments quick because our listeners should not be.
Yeah, they're falling off at this point.
We should give them their due time, despite the episode having lasted for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Well, Emily Messenger says, Mulder's entrance into the Congress hearing is so seriously silly, but I also fucking love it for some reason. The man is a drama queen to beat all drama queens. I mean, honestly, Homeboy never met a dramatic entrance he didn't like. See, Paperclip, Redux to Dead Alive, The Truth, and those are just off the top of my head. I'm sure there are more. Oh, absolutely.
He is a big entrance guy.
He's also a dramatic exit guy, too, because I'm thinking of the end of...
all of the hang-ups.
Yeah, all the hang-ups, him burning alive in a buried train car, you just can't keep him down in a dramatic way.
Liza M. says, I always get the ending action sequences of Terma and Piper Maru mixed up. They're way too much alike. Except for the great shot of Krychek radiating menace as he steeps his tea in fine china using a prosthetic arm.
Very true.
Awesome.
Very true. Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's all of them, yeah.
Thank you so much, listeners.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Although nobody talked about the travel time. Serious miss, listeners.
I'm a little surprised considering how much effort we put into making travel time comments.
Well, admittedly, I've had amazed I did not pick up on it. But you're right. This is the worst one.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Thank you for your comments. And Andrew, if you'd like to say goodbye, please do so.
Terma.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.